Hi, this is a demonstration on how to use an Exacto knife. So technically I'm going to use this Exacto to cut this circle out, and I want to make sure, like my blade moved here a little bit, I want to make sure that the blade is really tight, and I'm going to use the blade to just cut the circle out of my piece of paper. And what I want you to notice also is I have a mat board piece underneath my piece of paper that I'm cutting on, and part of the reason I'm doing that is so that I don't cut the desk that I'm working on. So, and I'm going to turn the mat board and the piece of paper over so that I can actually cut exactly where I want this circle to be. I actually drew this circle with a pencil so that after I cut this out, if there's anything left over, I can actually go back and erase. And I missed a little spot here, so I'm actually going to cut again. I want to try to cut away from myself so that hopefully I don't cut my fingers. There's that little piece there, and I'm going to cut just a little bit more because I can still see I made a little bit of a mistake right there. And there is my circle. So, and it's not actually as perfect a circle as I would have liked. I could go back and draw another circle around this with a template, but for the sake of this video, I don't really care that that's not perfectly circular. You might, and you might have to practice a couple of circles before you actually do this on a piece of artwork. But I'm going to show you I can actually erase where I had the pencil lines drawn so that I have like a perfect example. And obviously I had a little bit of graphite on my fingers, and you can actually see some problems there, so you want to make sure that your hands are really clean when you're doing this as well. Another thing that I'm going to show you is you can actually take and you could make a zigzag or a curved line with your Exacto. This was a little bit, oops, and there I went off of the piece of mat board that I have, and I've got my cut right here. I could actually, and I'm going to go off of this zigzag mark probably, and I'm just going to actually like cut the zigzag as close as I can to what was drawn here so that I actually have this nice pattern of a zigzag. And here I have the edge of the piece that I wanted to cut. Again, if I went off of my line a little bit, I can actually go and erase, and if I draw lightly enough, it doesn't actually leave this residue on here. Hopefully you can see there's like a mark left on my paper because I accidentally used an ebony pencil rather than a number 2 pencil. Remember, if you use a number 2 pencil and you draw really lightly, when you go and erase, there won't be anything there. So we want to make sure that we're doing that when we're trying to have no excess on the rest of the paper. Now that I'm done cutting that, I want to show you an example of what happens if you don't use the piece of mat board on the desks. So here you can see I used a bunch of different medias on this piece of paper. I have graphite in a couple of spots. I have chalk pastel. This is oil pastel, and actually this little bit that's right here is something that I didn't quite rub off yet, which I could do if I wanted to. That's not from the problem that's on the desk. This is actually colored pencil, and here I have some watercolor. What I want you to notice is underneath this piece of paper there are a bunch of cuts on this desk from the Exacto knife because the person that did this before didn't put a piece of mat board down. What happens with that, and I'm going to show you over here, I'm going to put this transparency over the top of my work here. This mark that I have right here, and I'm going to just show you again, I'll rub this off. You can actually see there's like a flaw in the, well, if this was your drawing and you were doing value, this would be a flaw that you wouldn't be able to get out. Here are 2 more flaws. These are all caused by the cuts that are in this desk underneath this piece of paper. And actually you can see through the watercolor, here are some flaws that were created by that cut in the desk. You don't necessarily see it in the pastel and oil pastel. However, it could be a problem as this has more and more water on it, these are gonna like lift up off of the desk, and then we're gonna have bigger problems later. So it's a really good idea to always have a piece of mat board over the top of what you are cutting with an Exacto knife.